Hello and welcome to our sixth form open evening tonight. This is our live question and answer session. I'm Ben Challoner, head teacher at the Minster School. Been here for the last 2 years now and been head teacher since half term. I'm joined this evening by Nicole Lyons, assistant head teacher, and Justin Samuels, who's our director of post-16 studies. The purpose of tonight is to answer questions that you might have, the more general questions you might have around the sixth form, and to direct you in the right direction for any specific questions you might have. On the right of your screen, you should be able to see where you can submit those questions, and some of them might be answered directly back to you, live text through some of our colleagues that are online as well, and some we might answer here tonight live on the video. Let me tell you a little bit about the Minster School. It's a school that can trace its origins back to approximately 956 AD. It's one of the oldest schools in England, originally developed to educate the choristers from the cathedral, and that's a tradition we uphold today. We are a Church of England academy. We are the local comprehensive school. We serve Southwell and the surrounding community. We have students that walk to school. We have students that get the bus to school from Nottingham City, from Mansfield, from Newark, and from beyond. We have students in our junior department, 7 years old, year 3, right through to students in our sixth form, year 12, year 13, up to 18 years old. Our sixth form's sizable. We have around 400 students here, and that allows us to offer a wide choice of courses for you to study. When you're here, you will study 3 courses, mainly A-levels. Alongside that, you'll study a course in faith, culture and life. Plus, you'll do either core maths or EPQ, extended project qualification. You'll have a dedicated tutor and a pastoral support around you as well. We have a history of excellent results, with students regularly going on to the best universities, to high quality employment, to high level apprenticeships. We will tonight do our best to answer those questions, and to start us off with some, I will hand over to Nicole Lyons.
Good evening, welcome. I'm going to try and answer the first few questions that have come through for you. We've had a number of questions about our leadership opportunities in the sixth form. As a really large sixth form, this enables us to have quite a wide variety of opportunities for our students to take part in. Kind of the pinnacle of all of those is our head team, which is made up of 6 students, and they operate from the end of year 12 through to the end of year 11. And we often have external students who've joined the school new for sixth form who are on this, which we think is a really good testament to how well they've settled in. We have a number of students who are prefects. They take responsibility for working with the leadership team and other students, younger students around the school. And we have a Minster mentor scheme, which is where we take our sixth form students, we deliver some training to them so they can support the mental health and the well-being of some of the younger students, and that's a really popular option. You also have the opportunity to be a subject ambassador. So if you're really passionate about geography, like myself, for example, you can become an ambassador for that subject. And that involves things like going into the lessons to support them, going out on some of the visits, and perhaps supporting younger students in the school. And we find that's a really good way to support a university application. We also have a sports leaders programme that you can sign up to from the start of year 12. There are lots and lots of opportunities within performing arts to participate and to lead. And each year we tend to have a young enterprise team. So there are huge numbers of opportunities there for you. Quite a few of our students from year to year also set up their own clubs and societies. So, for example, in the last couple of years, we've had a debating society and we've had a writing society as well. And we're always open to ideas from students. We've had another couple of questions which are about what happens after the sixth form. As we tend to pick our A-level subjects, we're always thinking about what we might need as we're going to our post-18 options. I would say that at the moment about 2/3, 3/4 of our students go on to university. So we have a large UCAS preparation programme within our tutor programme that will take you through everything from looking at different types of universities and subjects and the way to choose your degrees and the whole application process and beyond. That said, we have an increasing number of students who are going on directly into employment and looking at higher level apprenticeships, often to degree apprenticeships, which is a way that students can gain a degree, but they'll be employed and paid at the same time. And as a result of that, we have running alongside that UCAS programme, we have a huge amount of work that's going on there, including people coming in. Over the course of the 2 years, the students will be prepared for their life beyond school, including things like a week's work experience, which they will arrange at the end of year 12, and mock interviews, which take place at the beginning of year 13. And we also arrange some specialist interviews for people who are going on to study medicine or at Oxford or Cambridge, for example, where they will be experiencing a really specific type of interview. We work with students on their CVs, their application letters, and those kinds of things. We've always had a careers advisor in school who's available to students. And within the new year, we'll be employing our own careers advisor who will be in-house, in school, every school working day, and they'll be available to the students. So they'll all have the opportunity to have a careers appointment that's quite a formal kind of way of thinking about what they're doing post-18. But that person will also be there to support just in general. So hopefully that's answered that question for you. I'm now going to pass over to Justin Samuels, who is our Director of Post-16 Studies.
I'm just going to start that again. I was muted when I started my answer. So class sizes, what are they like at Minster School sixth form? Well, it will depend on the popularity of the course and the number of groups that we have studying the course. I would say that the classes are smaller than the typical GCSE class that students would have experienced in year 11. Some classes could be less than 10 students. They could be up to about 20 students, or occasionally even more than that. There are very odd, rare occasions where if hardly any students select a course that we may not run it, but that is very, very rare indeed. We don't want our class sizes to be too large. We're conscious of that, and we do manage that to ensure that students get all that individual teacher support that they need.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. Thank you very much. Just picking up a few of the questions that have come in through here then on the side. So we've got, what is the deadline submission for option choices for existing Minster students? What we ask for is your application to be in by the 27th of November, which I know is relatively early, but that lets us start on our timetabling process. And by doing it at that stage and getting your application in on time, that gives you the maximum opportunity to study the courses you want to study. After that, we start putting the courses into option blocks, and it was possible to change, definitely possible to change, but then it's reliant upon making sure that those courses don't clash on your timetable and that we can fit you onto that course. And what we find is each year, majority of our students get our application in on time, and they normally know what they want to do through this process and stick with those. But also every year there are a number of students that might want to change their course, change their mind, or even after their GCSE results, change their mind. What we say then is you let us know as soon as possible, and we do look to support that and to get you onto the right course that you want to study. But obviously it is dependent upon making sure it fits in the timetable and that course is no longer full of too many students on that course. We even, when students start, and we really warn against this, but when they start in year 12, up to that sort of October half term, there is a little bit of flexibility then if someone really feels they're on the wrong course. But obviously changing at that stage puts you on the back foot and you are on catch up. Another one here says, how many A levels can you do? What we recommend, and our core offer is 3 A levels. And the reason we say 3 A levels is because actually that's what's needed for the next stages of your educational employment. Universities are looking for 3, and that's the way we operate. It's also, since the A levels have been reformed over the last few years, the quantity of work that you have to study means that actually giving the dedicated curriculum and self-study time to 3 means you are most likely to be successful. Every year there will be some student that says, oh, can I do 4? I really want to do 4. And if you do, we will have an independent conversation with you around that. But it's very much that is about those people with the best grades who are looking for 4, not people who just can't make their mind up. If you can't make your mind up, that will really put you on the back foot on your studies there. So I'll just take that one off the system. I think I'm just going to hand over to Mrs. Lyons who'll pick up a few more. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we've had a couple of questions in about EPQ and core maths, which are our enrichment courses. And the vast majority of our students who come in will do 3 A-levels, and they will then do another qualification, which will be the extended project qualification or core maths. We ask our students to choose between those. So the core maths qualification is a continuation of maths learning for people who don't have maths within their subject choices. So if you're already doing maths or further maths, computer science or physics potentially, then you are already continuing your learning within a mathematical framework. If you don't have that within your options subjects, then it might be that you wish to continue that. And that's kind of well respected by universities and by employers who will see that you've taken on additional study. The extended project qualification is something that your parents may not be aware of. It's a relatively new qualification and it lasts for the whole of year 12, and it's a little bit like writing a mini dissertation. It's a project that's 5,000 words, or you can actually construct something. And that allows you really to take on your knowledge and explore a subject further. So for example, some students who might be studying biology at university and know that that's what they want to do, they might consider taking EPQ, and they might actually make that a biological thing that they look at as well. So that hopefully answers that question. We've had a couple of questions about the enrichment opportunities that I mentioned earlier and about whether they are compulsory. They're not compulsory, but most of our students will choose to take on one or more of those, but there tends to be something that interests those people. And there's a final subject question, which is, does the sixth form get oversubscribed? So we receive a lot of applications for the sixth form. In the past few years, we've never been oversubscribed, and we've managed to accommodate all of our students, though our numbers have increased in recent years. So we don't anticipate a position where we're not able to offer a place to students. The really important thing is really thinking carefully about those subject choices and making sure that your initial application has those, so that we can reserve a place for you in those classes, as we might be able to change this at a later date, but it's not something we're able to guarantee. I'm going to go and pass now to Mr. Samuels again to answer a few more questions.
So I've got a good question, which is about private study and how much study will I have to do beyond the classroom. So when you're a sixth form student, even from day one in year 12, the ability to become an independent learner is super important. You do need to do private study to be successful. So how much do you need to do? Well, as a guide, you really need to think about matching every minute or every hour of lesson time with an hour in your own time. So that can give you an indication of how much you should be doing outside of the classroom. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to spend all of that study time at home in the evenings, because one of the advantages of being a sixth form student is that you do have some flexibility about how you manage your time during the school day. Your timetabled lessons won't take you from the start of the day to the very end of the day. There will be opportunities for private study, and you can take those opportunities right here in school, because we have plenty of spaces and available rooms, facilities and resources for you to do that learning in. So it might be that some of your private study work takes place in school, while some might take place outside of school hours at home too. But it is very, very important, and right from when you join us in September, you'll need to prepare, because all of our sixth form students will have a baseline assessment towards the end of the first month, and it'll be really, really good for everybody to hit the ground running.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. Thank you very much. Picking up a few more around here then. So what GCSE grades do you have to get to join our sixth form? They are in the prospectus, which hopefully you've got a copy of. There's an online version on the website. If not, what we say is you need to have 5 grade 4s at GCSE, preferably including English and maths. If you miss one of them, if you miss English or maths, there is the opportunity to retake it, but that's the baseline. There then is subject specific criteria that you need to meet. And again, in the prospectus, if you look at the subjects you wish to study, and if you look down, I think it's at the bottom of the page, it would tell you what you need for that course. So there are our entry requirements. Let's take that one off. There was one that linked, I thought, to it. It says how many hours actual classroom teaching versus free periods. So I'm hoping that is because people want lots of teaching rather than lots of free time. So I'm going to take it from that aspect. How much teaching do you get? For each of your A-level courses in year 12, you have 9 periods a fortnight. So you'd be doing 3 courses, so 3 lots of the 9 a fortnight. Alongside that, you'll be doing your EPQ, which is 3 hours a fortnight, or core maths, which is 4 hours a fortnight. You'll be having your tutor sessions, and then obviously faith, culture and life course, which is an hour a fortnight. And then beyond that, the free periods, we will call your private study time. While I mentioned core maths, there is a question up here about core maths, which I think I'll talk to. It says, if you're doing A-level maths, do you need to do core maths? Is core maths an A-level at all? So core maths is the equivalent of what we used to be like an AS level, I suppose. It's a year-long course. It's not got the full curriculum time of an A-level. If you're doing A-level maths, then you won't do core maths, no. You'll probably be doing EPQ. A-level maths is a higher standard than that. It also links to something that was mentioned earlier about whether you needed to do A-level further maths, how that fitted in. So if you wanted to do A-level further maths, you do need to do A-level maths with that. And then there is always a conversation because some people will do A-level further maths instead of their EPQ or core maths as like a fourth option there. Anyway, I'm going to hand back over to Mrs. Lyons. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just a few more questions that we've had. We've had a question about whether students are able to use laptops in lessons. If students wish to bring their own devices in and use those in lessons, that's something we can accommodate. We have an increasing number of students who do that actually, and we can manage, they can take their own notes. It's really important for A-levels that students are responsible for their own learning and they manage the way that they manage their notes. So we have a number of students who do that in different ways. So we can certainly accommodate that. And we've got a dedicated sixth form suite as well. So there's a computer lab with kind of about 30-40 computers available at any one time for students to use. That's exclusive for the sixth form to use. And we've also got a silent study room so that students can go in there, and some students will take their laptop in there and they will work. So hopefully that helps to answer your question. We've also had a little bit of question about any support for students who are wishing to go to Oxford and Cambridge specifically. We have a really wide range of places that students apply to, but that does include a high number each year who apply to Oxford or Cambridge. And as a response to that, we actually have an Oxford group which operates from year 12 right through to the beginning of year 13 to steer the students through that process, because it does require something a little bit different. So, for example, there might be a specific entry examination that we have to prepare you for. This year we actually were able to take some students down, so they were able to look around the campus in Cambridge and meet some of our ex-students who've been there. We have guest speakers in, and we have people who will help with practice interviews as well. So hopefully that's a bit of reassurance. And then a final question that I've seen is, can we apply for multiple places, or do we just have to apply for one college? You are able to actually put in applications to a number of places. So it's really important at this time of year, if you're considering coming to see us, that you put an application in, and then we can kind of reserve you a place in those classes and start assigning you a space in our sixth form so that that's reserved. You can then go on at a later date and make your own decisions, and we're hoping in the summer term, all things blowing in the right direction, that we'll be able to actually offer an opportunity for you to come into the school as a bit of a taster too. I'm going to pass back over to Mr. Samuels now. Thank you.
So I can see a couple of questions here, and I can see if you start an A-level and decide you don't like it and you want to change to a different course. So as Mr. Challoner said earlier, it is possible for you to do that in the early stages of year 12. It's very, very important that you think carefully from this point onwards about which subjects you're suited to, because the difficulty with changing an A-level subject is the work that you miss in the subject that you're changing into and the wasted work that you've done in the subject that you're changing from. So we really do need you to think very carefully about that, but we do understand that sometimes students do change their minds. So in September and that first part of October, we do permit course changes for Year 12 students, but beyond that, you do need to fulfil your programme of study right until the end. I can see another question about, which is a really, really good question. Are students expected to be in school for the whole school day, both years? So it is different for our Year 12 students and our Year 13 students. So for our Year 12 students, we do expect you to be in school for the whole of the school day, excluding lunch times and any extended break time that you may have. So if you have a lesson on your timetable, or should I say a study period, where you don't have to be in a lesson, we would expect you to be using one of the school study spaces to do your independent learning work. We feel that that's very, very important as when you transition from GCSE into A-level, and you just need that little bit of extra supervision, that little bit of extra support from staff and who are in the school to help you. As you get older and as you become more of an independent learner and you become more mature, we recognise that you're more able to make your own decision making about which learning environment is best for you. So when you go into Year 13 and you want to leave the school site because you have some opportunities to do your studying at home, we do permit you to do that. Again, with all of our students at the Minster School, if there are any particular exceptional circumstances, then you are most welcome to have a discussion with myself or your sixth form tutor, and we can talk about a concern that you might have around studying in school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. Thank you very much. I've got a question here. Can I still apply even if I do not attend church? Yes, very much so. You can definitely apply. We are a Church of England academy. We are also the local comprehensive school, though. So yes, you can apply. We're fully inclusive, but we do have those Christian values that underpin our teaching. You can see us behind me here, the succeeding together, the wisdom, optimism, resilience, kindness and service that are paramount to what we do. There's also one that's been put through that I believe Mrs. Lyons actually already answered about, can students allowed to are students allowed to take laptops into classrooms to make notes on rather than using paper? If they've got their own device, then yes, we would let you to do that. Of course, if that helps you as you study, that's fine. I'm now going to pass over to Mrs. Lyons, who's going to pick up a question around sports leadership.
Thank you. So we've had a question about the sports leadership programme and what that entails. So if you opt to undertake the sports leadership programme, that will go onto your timetable as a timetabled lesson that you will attend each week or each fortnight. And that's a group of students who have an interest and a passion for sport. And what that will do is develop your leadership capabilities throughout the year. You keep a small logbook as well, but it's mostly a practical based subject. What you get at the end of that is a sports leaders qualification. So you're a qualified leader of sports, and we organise some large events in schools, such as the sports days for some of our primary schools, which are fully led by our sports leaders. The reason that we have opportunities like that is because as our students leave us, we know they're leaving us with fantastic grades, but at the moment, university places, higher level apprenticeships and employment opportunities, we want them to progress on to the very best, and they're really, really competitive. So something like a sports leadership qualification is an addition to your grades that makes you actually be able to capitalise on those grades. We've also had a question about the numbers of students who have applied to Oxbridge this year. We've had about 20 students that have made applications to those university, and last year we were really proud that 6 of our students chose to go there. As much as that's really, really important to us, we're also really proud of some other achievements. So, for example, we have a number of students who've gone on to get degree apprenticeships, for example. So they've actually managed to secure a paid job with employment and training. Their degree will be paid for and they will come out with that qualification. And that's something we're really looking to advise students to look at as well. I'm going to pass over to Mr. Samuels now, who's going to answer a couple more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got a really good question here, which is, are you meant to take subjects that have some link to each other, or can they be a range of subjects if you don't know what to do after A levels? So the answer to that is, if you do know what you want to do after you finish your A-level subjects, then some university courses will expect subjects that are related. So, for example, some of the science courses or engineering courses or medical courses will expect certain types of A-level combination. However, there are a range of progression routes, either into apprenticeships and employment or university, that don't require any particular combination of A-levels. So if you're not sure at all what you want to do after you've done your A-levels, I would say, well, first I would say, please start thinking about it, because the time will come sooner than you think. But also consider which of your GCSE subjects you're really enthusiastic about. Which of those topic areas really motivate you? Because A-levels are challenging, they're also very enjoyable, but it's important that you have that motivation and that real desire to succeed. And occasionally students choose an A-level subject because they achieve quite well in that subject at GCSE, but they don't find the subject particularly inspiring. They're just good at the subject, and doing the A-level then becomes difficult because they don't have that enjoyment for it. So if you're not sure what you want to do in the future and you want to keep your options open, you don't need to choose a particular combination of A-levels. You should choose the A-levels that stimulate you and motivate you. I will just add on to that what I said at the beginning. Do think about this carefully, though, because some university courses and some careers are looking for A-level subjects that are of a particular type, particularly in certain areas, like in the sciences fields or the arts field or music performance.
Thank you, Mr. Samuels. Thank you very much. So what we'll do in a second, we'll just take a little break in a second, but I'll just answer a few more that are here. I'll put on one. Are you allowed to drive yourself to school, assuming you pass your test? Definitely pass your test first. But yes, you can drive yourself to school. There's no parking on site though, so you need to park in the long stay car park that is behind the leisure centre. What else is there that I can answer quickly? Are you allowed to leave the building for break and lunch times? Yes, you are allowed to leave the building at that time. Obviously, we do ask you to behave in an appropriate manner because you are still representing the school and many of you will be wearing your school lanyards. But yes, you are allowed off-site at those times. So I think what we will do now, I see there's a few more questions there. But what worked really well, and we did this in the year 6-7 evening, would be to just take 5 minutes. So we'll put the slides up again for 5 minutes. That gives you an opportunity at home to have a little conversation with people you might be watching this with, and to think about any more of those questions that you might have that you can submit over those 5 minutes. But then we will come back online in 5 minutes time and answer a few more questions and have a little bit of a summing up. So thank you for listening so far, and I'll see you back in 5 minutes time. Welcome back. Thank you for that. And thanks for keep sending those questions in. I can see our colleagues just outside here are answering on the live text, and you're keeping them busy. Thank you very much. We have picked up a few more questions though that we will answer. So I'm going to hand across to Mrs. Lyons now, who will start to pick those up.
Hello, welcome back. So I've had a few questions which I'll do my best to answer for you. We had a question about how many students who are in the sixth form originated from the Minster School. Around 75–80% of our Year 11 students each year progress onto the sixth form, and we have a large number of externals who come in as well. So each year we have between 40, 50, 60 students that come in from schools other than Minster. That means that if you were thinking of applying as an external student, you're not going to come along and be the only person here and everybody else knows each other. And we actually have quite a lot of transition events at the beginning of Year 12, which will help you to settle in. So in addition to being part of a tutor group and meeting friends in different classes and in your study periods, we actually run a fortnight at the start, which has lots of different activities ranging from open mic nights and quizzes and sports events, those kinds of things where you'll get to meet people. And we tend to find that we have large numbers of externals coming from all manner of places, really. So don't let that worry you if you're an external student. Somebody's asked for more information about the subject ambassador scheme. What that means is that at the start of the year, you would say, I would like to be a subject ambassador. You would apply for that specific subject. So you would say, really passionate about geography, and you'd send a letter in explaining all about your fascination with rocks and so on. And then at the very start of that programme, we give you a short training programme that you go through. So you learn about what that is. And then you will go and support some lessons in there, perhaps once a fortnight, something like that. They might ask you to come and do some of their enrichment activities for younger students, such as their clubs, those kinds of things. They may have you there on our parents' evenings and open evenings for GCSEs, so you can support students and encourage them. And then people have also done things like setting up study clubs and those kinds of things. And that's viewed really well by universities and employers. If you're going to say you're really passionate about a subject, it's a really excellent way of demonstrating that you're committed and you want to do that. And my final question that I'm going to answer is about the sixth form dress code. So our dress code for the sixth form is not a school uniform. You're that little bit older now, so we like to give you a bit more independence and responsibility, but we do ask you to dress smartly in kind of work office wear. If you're interested in what that exactly means and what you can and can't wear, there is some information on our school website under the parents section. But students in general have the freedom to choose what they wear to school, but we do ask that you dress smartly at all times. I'm going to pass over to Mr. Samuels now, who's got some more questions to answer.
Hello again, everybody. So I've got a good question about support and guidance and what support guidance is given to students to transfer to more independent learning, because if you remember, I did say earlier in the evening that being an independent learner is a really, really important part of being a successful sixth form student. And we do realise that in Key Stage 4, your learning is more structured, and there is a lot of prescription and direction given to you by your teachers in order to help you do the best that you can. And when you transfer into the sixth form, it is partly a journey of self-responsibility and working towards making your own decisions about how you can best work towards your potential. So your teachers are important in helping you to learn how to self-manage, and they're conscious that you need some guidance. So your independent learning ability and development of your skills will come through in your classroom lessons, and also the extension activities that you're given by your teachers, either through using one of our learning platforms like Moodle or Teams or resources drive, where there are sources and information that you can use to actually help you and to guide you. But also our pastoral team and our sixth form tutors play a really, really important part in helping you to develop those independent learning skills. We have a whole tutor program and dedicated time in which tutors are actually working with you. And one of the really, really critical things that they'll do with you during your first year particularly is helping you to become a really, really strong independent learner. In fact, as I speak with the current year 12s at the moment, tutors are working through a program which we refer to as growth mindset, which is about you as an individual being able to maximize your own potential through taking responsibility for your own learning and the sorts of strategies that you can use, whether it's organization and planning and practice of those things in order to make you stronger as an individual. In addition to that, we do realize that some students have some challenges with being independent learners and doing things for themselves, and not everybody progresses to that at the same time. And so your sixth form tutor is able to give you some personal one-to-one guidance and some of those individual tips that are going to help you. And we also have our sixth form pastoral assistant, Mrs. Darby, who, when things are getting on top of you and you're not, or you may not be able to manage your time as effectively as you might like, well, she's there to give you some personal support and some personal ideas and strategies and planning in order to get you on track and make that right for you. So a really, really good question. We don't just expect you to be independent learners straight away. We do realise that an important part of what we do is to help you get there.
Thank you, Mr. Samuels. Thank you very much, everybody. So we've pretty much answered all your questions that have been submitted through to us. There was one that asked about, would this question and answer session, could they rewatch it? And yes, that will be possible. It will be published onto the website, exactly where you've clicked this link. It will replace that link, and that should be uploaded, I'm told, hopefully tonight. But I'd say if you were to check back tomorrow, it should be there for you to review. Our team are on the keyboards answering for the next couple of minutes or so. But from us, I'd like to thank you very much for listening. Hopefully you've explored that website further, and you can click on the videos of subject areas. And obviously you've got the opportunity to ask subject areas their questions through the dedicated email addresses. And if there's any other queries or questions you have, then if you contact the sixth form team here at the Minster School, we'll be delighted to help you. Look, thank you for listening. Looking forward to welcoming you and being part of our sixth form in September 2021. Thank you very much.